Alright, this is John Colo at DiscountJuicers.com. Today we have another exciting episode for you, and in today's episode what we're going to do is another one of my famous juice offs. I have more juice off comparison tests on juicers than anybody else on YouTube or anywhere else that I know of anywhere. And I do this all for one main reason, so that you guys can get the right juicer for you and make the dietary health changes so you guys could get the benefits from them, whether that's losing weight, having more energy, helping your body heal from disease, or whatever. I know that juicing can help you out. I mean, that's why I'm so committed and dedicated to juicing myself, because in my opinion, juicing and other lifestyle and dietary changes helped save my life when I was sick and almost lost my life over 20 years ago now. So I'm really committed to this, and that's why I like to bring you guys these episodes. Now, if you guys enjoy my episodes comparing the juicers, and if you guys have gained from my knowledge and my videos, I would encourage you guys to support me and my work by making your purchase at DiscountJuicers.com. This allows me to continue to make these educational videos, as well as other educational videos that I share online to help you guys eat more fruits and vegetables, even how to grow them, and many other topics. So I thank you guys in advance for those of you guys that have supported me in the past, and thank you guys for those of you guys that will support me in the future. So I can continue to make these videos. If you buy from a big box store, I'm not going to get the credit for that. And then also, if there's any warranty claims or warranty issues, I can't help you out with that. But if you buy from me, I'm going to definitely ensure you guys get taken care of if you have any warranty issues, as well as we have a price match policy. So don't feel that you got to save 10 bucks somewhere else. Hey, let me know. As long as it's a legitimate authorized retailer of the juicer, we sell it, I'll be glad to match that price for you, so actually I could get the credit, so you could support me, so I could continue to make these videos for you guys out there. Anyways, today's video has been a topic or a juicer that I've been asked a lot about. It's the Kitchenaid Maximum Extraction Juicer. Whether it's the whole juicer like this, or I actually get quite a few emails of actually an attachment that Kitchenaid sells, and pretty much it looks similar to this, and it basically attaches onto a stand mixer. So based on my research, it looks like this attachment is pretty much the same thing that will fit on the stand mixer and run as as an attachment instead of a dedicated juicer. And so the results on the yield and whatnot that I'm going to show you guys in this episode will be similar, as well as my commentary on the unit and the juicer itself. That being said, this is a dedicated machine here, and this has been out for a couple years. I haven't had the opportunity to test it until now. Major department store actually put these on clearance. Maybe that's because they weren't selling so good, or maybe that's because who knows why. But so I was able to pick one up, and so now I'm going to get to test it for you guys and show you guys actually how it does. I want to let you guys know at this point, there's many different juicers on the market. There's a new company popping up, seems like every day, that's importing juicers from China, slapping their name on it, and selling it as the greatest and latest juicer. And I want you guys to be very weary of juicers on the market. There's so many, and it's really easy to just go source juicers in China, slap your name on it, and sell them for a ton of money, and make some good money out of it, But the problem is, how long is that juicer going to last, and how well does it operate, right? Think about this. If you're just throwing money down the drain every time you juice, say you juice 5 pounds of carrots, and in this juicer you get 4.5 cups of juice, and in this juicer you get 3 cups of juice. So that means you're losing 1.5 cups of juice every time you juice. And that means you're throwing money down the drain because you're buying this expensive organic produce, and hopefully you're buying organic, if you guys can afford it. And if you guys can't, that's alright. Even juicing conventional, regular produce is better than anything else you guys could eat at the grocery store, for sure. But if you're throwing money down the drain because your juicer's not making as much yield, then you're doing yourself a disservice by getting a juicer, even if it is costing you less money in the get-go. In addition, another thing is, I want you guys to be juicers for life. I think I might have to come out with a book, Juicing Juicers for Life. But I want you guys to juice consistently each and every day. Juicing is a part of my everyday diet. In general, I juice once a day. Sometimes, like yesterday, I actually drank juice for 2 of my meals, instead of just 1. Normally, I like to eat it instead of eating breakfast in the morning. That gives me kind of energy I need and helps transition my body out of not eating for the last 8 hours when I was sleeping. I find it gives me more energy and allows my body to, fully heal more efficiently than if I'm eating like a big, heavy breakfast like most Americans might eat, with bacon and eggs and things that, in my opinion, are not maybe the healthiest thing to eat right when you wake up in the morning. but juicing is. And so here's the thing. So like some juicers, like the Kitchenaid here, has a short 1-year warranty. If after 1 year, a year and 1 day, a year and 2 days, right, the machine breaks, and I know you guys have had products that you guys have bought and then you used it, and then like a day or 2 days or maybe a week after the warranty's expired, it breaks. That's happened to me, trust me, and it's not a fun experience, especially when the machine is kind of expensive. And so with a lot of the juicers, you know, a lot of the inexpensive, cheap juicers that have a short warranty, you know, they're pre-programmed, maybe not pre-programmed, but they have a, you know, a limited use cycle. You know, the manufacturers know that it's disposable and you're just going to buy a new one if it breaks after the warranty, because in some cases after the warranty expires, you know, you might not be able to buy the parts to repair it. You know, the other thing is that it may just be cheaper to buy a new one, you know. A lot of things are disposable in our society, and I think that's really sad, and I want to encourage you guys to buy things that are actually going to last and last a long time. So you guys have a good, solid investment. I mean, here on the other side, the Kuvings wholesale juicer actually has a 10-year warranty. So even after, you know, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5, 6 years later, this machine breaks due to no fault of your own, the manufacturer will cover it under the warranty and take care of it. So they actually don't have to shell out all the money to buy a brand new juicer. So I really want to encourage you guys to, you know, buy a juicer that not only gets a good yield, but also has a good warranty, so you guys can be lifelong juicers and juice every day, because that's going to make the biggest difference in your life, you know, by juicing every single day, not just going on like some juice fast, like, you know, you could get results from a juice fast, whatnot, you know, but I think in the long term, like a juice fast is good because it's going to help you kind of maybe get healthier now, lose weight now, but in the long run, it does nothing for you, because more than likely after the juice fast, as Joe Cross did in his movie Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead, you know, after the juice fast, which you'll get all the benefits from, you're going to go back to doing the same things that got you in the problems and gaining weight and unhealthy situation in the first place, eating the junk food, the processed foods, and all this kind of stuff. So by juicing every day, you're incorporating more fruits and vegetables in your diet, and you'll get to like them more. And actually, then you'll find, you'll probably want to eat more fruits and vegetables throughout the day, whether that's just snacking on fruits, or maybe eating a salad, or eating a nice big salad at dinner, maybe reducing the portion size of the meat and the other processed foods you're eating. I mean, that's what we really want to do. I mean, that's the healthiest way to eat, in my opinion, and that's the diet that I've personally been on now for the last over 22 years. So anyways, let's go ahead and get into this juice off before I talk your ear off all day. Anyways, both these machines have a few things in common, and they also have many differences. Both these machines I call vertical single auger juicers. These are cold press style juicers, and there's many different kinds of juicers on the market, so don't just like lump them all in one category. You know, there's high speed centrifugal ejection juicers that actually eject the pulp. There's just regular standard centrifugal juicers that don't eject the pulp. They're kind of outdated in my opinion nowadays. There's actually horizontal single auger juicers, so instead of the auger going vertically up and down, they go horizontally. This style machine is definitely better for things like wheatgrass and sprouts if you're going to juice a lot or the majority of those, as well as if you're juicing mostly leafy greens. Those machines don't tend to juice the fruit so well, and the hard vegetables, they do actually fairly well. There's also the twin gear horizontal style juicer with the 2 gears spinning inside. Those generally make some of the highest yields, but they kind of take the longest to clean. They generally work the best with the hard vegetables, do pretty good on the leafy greens, and not so good with the fruits. And there's also the cold press style juicers, whether that's the juicer, that's probably still in their Kickstarter as you're watching this now. Be sure to check my other videos for that, or a 2-stage hydraulic press, kind of like a Norwalk juicer. You know, those juicers also have their pros and cons. But the one I like the most is actually the vertical single auger juice, because aside from juicing the leafy greens, which it actually does quite efficiently when you're juicing it with other things, and some vertical juicers are more efficient than others, it also does the hard vegetables pretty good, and also does the fruits, which can be challenging to juice in many cases. Now, I do always encourage you guys when picking fruits to juice, pick out the nicest, hardest, firmest ones. They're going to make the best. So yeah, these are the vertical augers, the most versatile juicers on the market, and also they run at a slower speed than the high speed machines that may tend to oxidize the juice. And some people improperly say that they heat the juice, which is not true, and I'm going to have a video on that one of these days when I get some time. They actually cool down the juice if you start with cold produce, believe it or not. So people that say high-speed juicers heat the juice, man, I wouldn't trust them, because that's inaccurate information in my opinion. But anyways, these machines run at a low RPM, so they preserve more of the phytonutrients and phytochemicals in the juice as shown by studies. And because of the more active phytonutrients and phytochemicals, these juices made in the slow juicers may have more beneficial effects in your body with fighting disease, helping you heal, and helping you get the weight loss and meet the weight loss goals that you have. So yeah, these are the vertical juicers. They all basically operate on a similar principle. Let me go ahead and show you guys that on the Kuvings whole slow juicer, then I'll show you guys that on the Kitchenaid. So how this works is you take the fruit or vegetable and you drop it in the top of the machine. The Kuvings whole slow juicer actually has a nice funnel area, and it has a nice 3-inch wide feed chute. So this means you will not have to cut things up as small to feed it in the machine. And basically the produce comes down this chute here, and then it goes into this enlarged area, in which then the produce then falls into this auger that's spinning around on the inside. This auger basically takes chunks off the produce. If you just put a whole apple in there to just turn around without you having to push anything in, it'll chunk off pieces of the apple, and the apple will basically work its way down this auger here. And as it works down the auger, the space between the auger and the juicing screen gets smaller and smaller and smaller. And so literally it crushes, squeezes, and grinds and presses out all the juice. So as the auger is spinning, it's basically running against this screen. All the juice is then pushed out the sides of the screen. And this is a 2-stage screen, 1, 2. And then on the bottom, the pulp is ejected out this little port here, which then comes out the front of the machine there. Also, in addition, while this is running, there's an automatic wiping blade. It spins around kind of like this. This is kind of like the windshield wipers on your car. Imagine if you didn't have windshield wipers in your car, man. That'd be a pain to drive in the rain unless you had something like Rain-X. But this juicer actually, as it's running, this wiping blade spins around, so it actually kind of keeps the screen clean, wipes off the juice to get that into your collection cup, so that you're going to get a higher yield, and also it's going to be a little bit easier to clean in the end. And then finally we have just the main juicing bowl. On the juicing bowl here, there's no flap on the bottom like many juicing bowls are, because they've deleted this by a redesigned screen, which is in the new C7000 model. This is the Kuvings Whole Slow Juicer Elite C7000 versus the B6000, which is the previous model. In addition, there's a nice little juice flap here, so you could stop the flow of juice to prevent dripping on your counter. You could also do mixing in the machine, which actually I do not necessarily recommend. It may lower your yield, unless you're making something like smoothies in the Kuvings Whole Slow Juicer, which we'll talk about in a second. And yeah, so that's pretty much this unit here. Really easy, super simple to assemble and disassemble. We're just going to go ahead and set that on top. We're going to go ahead and take the wiping blade, put it on the screen, and then there's a little red dot on the screen. We're going to line it up with a red dot on the juicing bowl. Drop it in place. We're going to then take our auger, put that right down in the bottom, let it make sure it fully seats. We're going to go ahead and take our top. There's a little red dot on the top. We're going to line it up with a red dot on the bowl, and then slide it to close, and we're all set. And then we can go ahead and turn this machine on if we have assembled it correctly, and it'll turn on. This machine runs at 60 RPMs or revolutions per second. As you guys can see, this basically works by crushing, squeezing, and extracting the juice. Next, let's go ahead and look at the Kitchenaid and see how this works. So the Kitchenaid, once we got a pusher, we also have a pusher on the Kuvings that it's not shown. We also have a feed chute. Now the feed chute's probably about half the size on the Kitchenaid here. The feed chute is larger than most vertical single auger juicers on this Kitchenaid, but not as large as the Kuvings. I do like that this is actually kind of a clear see-through, kind of see what's going on. Interesting thing about the Kitchenaid is it actually has 2 feed chutes. In here it has 1 feed chute, and if you put the pusher in there, it actually has a secondary feed chute that's a little bit smaller. So I don't know if this is going to be helpful for juicing carrots or something, but to me it looks like you got to clean a few extra parts because you got more plastic pieces. Next, instead of putting the produce in and being like crushed and squeezed instantly, they've gone a little bit different route here. They've actually gone with like a food processor style cutting blade, which kind of makes sense on one level, because one of the challenges with vertical auger juicers is that you do have to pre-cut some produce before putting it in, or the machine may clog and jam up on you. So they've eliminated your cutting step by adding a cutting blade to the auger. So the produce is cut, it's then cut, and then it drops into the auger to get crushed and squeezed. It's quite interesting. So yeah, this is going to be a little more of a, a bear to clean, because you got all these nooks and crannies underneath the between the blade, the stainless steel blade, and the auger that I don't even know if you could even get in there to remove and clean it. But yeah, this is the first machine like this that I've tested. Next, of course, we got a few other parts. Of course, we got that wiping blade here that spins around. This seems actually fairly loose to me. On the Kuvings, it was much tighter. And then we have actually the juicing screen here, which we'll actually talk about the quality of the juicing screen in a second. But the juicing screen, once again, it's 2 stages. And on this juicing screen, it looks like there's actually maybe less, the holes actually are smaller, and actually there's a less volume of screen area, which may mean you're going to get less yield because there's less space for the juice to actually flow out of. And then finally we have the juicing bowl here. On this bowl we have that little juicing flap here that we have to unplug and clean after every use. The job of this flap is to actually keep the produce in the machine, to get fully extracted before it lets it out. So this is where the pulp comes out on the Kitchenaid to the side, and then actually the juice actually drops out down this hole in the bottom, right down into the collection cup, which is interesting. So let me go ahead and get this reassembled here. So now we're going to go ahead and show you guys how to assemble the Kitchenaid. Basically, we're going to take the bowl here, and where the spout comes out, we're going to put it in the indentation on the spout of the Kitchenaid juicer. Then we're going to go ahead and take our juicing screen and the wiping blade, just install that in each other, and then there's a little red arrow on the juicing screen. We're going to line up with the red arrow on the juicing bowl. Should just drop right into place. Then we're going to take the auger. Now be careful with the auger, man. There's a sharp blade on here. And we're just going to take this auger and drop it in place. Should seat fairly well. And then we're going to go ahead and take the top, and the top has this little latch thing that has to go into here. So we're going to go ahead and put the latch thing kind of like over the red arrow, and then turn this in place. And once we got it turned in place, it's all set up, ready to go. We could go ahead and turn this on. As you guys can see, this is spinning significantly faster than the Kuvings. Let's go ahead and turn the Kuvings on. This kind of runs at a much slower speed. It's 60 RPMs, or revolutions per minute. And this, in my opinion, is, I would probably say, over 100 RPMs. I did call Kitchenaid to find out the exact RPMs, and the Kitchenaid rep was not able to tell me. Maybe it's proprietary information, but it definitely runs faster than most other vertical single augers that I've seen, probably the fastest actually. The other thing I want to mention about, besides the warranty and how to assemble it and how they work, is actually the quality of the unit. So actually, I gotta say that I do like the Kitchenaid. This is actually a die cast metal, and it's painted. So there's pros and cons with die cast metal. I mean, it looks like a much more upscale piece because it's actually metal that's been painted. And so, I mean, I do like that. Also, kind of, looks a little bit more futuristic. Kind of looks like a space alien or something. I don't know, because you put your glass underneath here, which is good and bad, because now you have to use the collection bowl that they give you when you buy their juicer, and it only doesn't hold as much as the one on the Kuvings. Of course, because it is also die cast and painted, this also may be able to scratch and chip and all this stuff. And the Kuvings is just a plastic, and so it's also going to be lighter to pick up. So yeah, pros and cons. Maybe I wish more juicing companies actually have a die cast bases. I think it kind of look more upscale, but instead of the painted, I think I'd go with like a stainless steel look. Looks a lot better. So now I want to share with you guys some attachments that come with each of the machines. Actually, the Kitchenaid comes with a few different juicing screens, and it comes with actually 3. The one that's installed is the fine juicing screen, so that's going to let the least pulp in your juice. The next juicing screen they give you is one if you want more pulp in your juice, and basically just has more holes, and the holes are actually fairly large. And then they give you actually another screen with actually super large holes, and this is for making sauces. That's actually quite interesting. On the Kuvings, they have 3 screens available in total, 2 of which come with the machine. The standard juicing screen, which is the small hole screen that's going to leave less pulp in your juice. And then the other attachment that is included with the Kuvings is this one. This is actually a blank screen, or the sorbet screen. You could also use it to make nut butters. So this will actually allow the machine to do grinding. This is something that Kitchenaid cannot do. And then as an optional attachment, which I would recommend actually if you are getting the Kuvings Wholesale Juicer Elite C7000, is a smoothie attachment. This is an attachment that is not available on any other juicer that I'm aware of in the US at this time, and it allows you to make low RPM smoothies in the Kuvings whole slow juicer. If I remember, I'll put a link down below to a video that I use this to make the smoothies, and so it doesn't oxidize your food as much. It's a high-speed blender that can run up to 30,000 RPMs. This runs at only 60 RPM, so it gently crushes, squeezes, and extracts all the nutrients into the smoothie that you're making with this attached smoothie attachment. Now, the other thing I want to really talk about real quick, which is important to me, is the construction of the screens. You know, I know Kitchenaid, I think this is maybe their first slow juicer. They've been making some high-speed juicers for a while. Kuvings has been making slow juicers for many years now, and they got a lot of the things dialed in. You know, one of the things that really concerns me about the Kitchenaid is actually the plastic that the screens are made out of. The auger, I know, is made out of the GE Ultra material. That's 8 times harder plastic, you know, than augers previously used on juicers. But on the Kuvings, the juicing screen, as well as all the different screens, smoothie screen and sorbet screen, is made out of the Ultra material also. So it's 8 times harder plastic than the plastic previously used on the juicing screens. How I can tell is if I try to squeeze this, I'm trying to squeeze this with all my might, and I can't put any flex on it. Like, it's really solid, right? Meanwhile, I could take one of these Kitchenaid screens and take it and flex it. I don't know if you guys can see that, but I'm flexing it. You could also tap the plastic and tap this plastic, and this plastic seems to me like a lot more like a softer density. You know, I don't know exactly what kind of plastic they're using, but I don't believe that this plastic is the Ultim plastic, which means, you know, this screen is going to tend to break a lot more, and as such, you're going to have to be buying replacements. So I don't actually encourage you guys to buy any juicer that does not have an Ultim screen. Most of the juicers on the market actually have Ultim screens, so I find it curious that Kitchenaid didn't do this also. Maybe they're trying to cut costs. I have no idea. Now, both these machines, after you're done using it, you're going to have to clean them. So the Kitchenaid comes with a standard toothbrush, oversized toothbrush style brush to clean the juicing screen, which granted is the hardest part to clean on any juicer. The Kuvings, on the other hand, comes with actually 3 cleaning brushes, an oversized toothbrush to help you guys clean the screen, and also a oversized pipe cleaner brush to like get into the nooks and crannies of the juice ejection spout and the pulp ejection spout, as well as this other unique screen cleaning tool that's right here. And this allows you to maximize your effort by cleaning the screen faster. You just basically put this into the screen here and spin this around to multiply your force to clean the screen much faster. So I do like that they have this attachment, and no other juicer company has this. Now, my wish for them and other juicer companies is to have an attachment they could plug in and spin around on, and it'll clean the outside, but also spin around and clean the inside at the same time. Now that would be impressive. Yeah, so I mean, that's pretty much the 2 different machines kind of compared side to side. I think that's all the major differences between them. I think the next thing I want to do is actually go ahead and set up and get into juicing and juice equal amounts of produce in both machines to show you guys which juicer will reign supreme in the yield. But more importantly, also, we're going to see if this installed cutting blade actually saves us some time in juicing. So I'll be using a stopwatch to show you guys how long it takes to juice in each machine. So now I'm set up and ready to juice, and we got 2 scales here with the exact amounts of produce. So let's go ahead and do the weigh-in for you so you guys can see we got a fair fight. So let's go ahead and give you guys a weigh-in here. Over on the Kitchenaid side, looks like we have a total of 3 pounds, 3 ounces. Then over on the scale on the Kuvings, once again we got 3 pounds, 3 ounces. Looks like we've got even amount of produce for an even fight. So now that you guys saw we have even amounts of produce on both sides, I want to explain to you guys what we're actually juicing today. We got a half a lemon on both sides, organic, 2 organic Braeburn apples, 5 organic carrots on each side, half a beet on each side, an organic cucumber on each side, as well as organic red leaf kale. Now, I always encourage you guys to make your juices nice and colorful. Add some highly pigmented foods. In this case, it tends to be the red kale, the beets, and even the carrots, you know, that all have nice colors to them. You know, there's a lot of different beneficial phytonutrients in different foods, especially the ones with color tend to have more of these things. One of my favorite things to juice is actually purple carrots, and for a really good juice recipe that actually tastes good but also may help you lose weight, get healthier. It's my best recipe for weight loss video, so I'll put a link down below this one if I remember, so be sure to check that one out. Definitely a good recipe. Anyways, now that we know we got an even fight, let's go ahead and take these scales off the table and let's get ready to juice. So now that we're all ready to juice, we're going to go ahead and move some of this over because we got even weights, and we're going to go ahead and share with you guys two things. Number one, we're going to share with you guys the time it takes to juice, so we're going to use a stopwatch app on my iPhone here and set this up for you guys so you guys can see that clearly. And the other thing I'm going to do is, depending on the juicer I'm using, even though this has a large feed chute and this has actually a fairly half a size large feed chute, some produce preparation and cutting of the produce will be required, especially in the case of the Kitchenaid for cutting the apples into smaller pieces so they fit, maybe even the beet. The Kuvings should actually fit everything without cutting, except the celery and the kale. I do encourage you guys, if you're juicing things like celery or leafy greens like kale, collard greens, Swiss chard, spinach, to chop those up because the fibrous strands in the stems may block up the ejection port in the juicer. This tends to be more of a challenge if you're juicing like higher volumes of juice at one time. If you're making 12 ounces of juice, just be sure to juice your celery or leafy greens last, and then maybe follow it by a carrot, and the jamming and clogging should not be too much of an issue because you're just not juicing a volume of juice. I'm not juicing a whole lot today, but I also want to get the best performance out of each machine as well. So anyways, with that, let's go ahead and turn on the Kuvings whole slow juicer. We're going to go ahead and get into juicing. Now I do encourage you guys to rotate the produce you're putting through the machine. So I'm going to juice maybe the apples first and maybe some of the softer stuff, and then finish up with the carrots. So let's go ahead and get started. Alright, hit the start button, and we're off. We're going to go ahead and take this apple, dump it right in there. And as you guys can see, the apple's getting chewed up by the Kuvings whole slow juicer. As that's working, we're going to go ahead and take the knife and just chop this up into little pieces. And as I'm doing that, we could go ahead and dunk in a carrot, save some time. And this is kind of what I do when I'm juicing at home. I'll let the juicer work on a few things while I'm actually chopping. And then once we got some stuff chopped, we're going to go ahead and dump in some more. As you guys can see, I'm kind of multitasking in this way. I'm going to go ahead and take that whole half a beet, dump it in there. No problem for the Kuvings. It's just chunking that up. Let's go ahead and maybe take another carrot. Once again, that whole cucumber going right in the machine. Pressing that in. Finally, we're going to go ahead and take that kale. We're just going to go ahead and chop that kale into pieces, mainly chopping up the stem. That could be the hardest part for any vertical slow juicer. Grab some of that kale and the celery. I always want to encourage you guys to rotate the different ingredients that you're putting inside the machines. This will allow the juicer to work most effectively. Now we're going to go ahead and dump in that whole half a lemon, no problem. And we're going to go ahead and follow that by a carrot. Now in the top of the Kuvings, there's a whole bunch of produce that's not necessarily getting juice right now. So we're going to go ahead and try to use the carrot to make sure that kind of gets in the machine. This may happen if you're not juicing enough hard, things like carrots or beets tend to help kind of suck the produce in. Also things like the celery, will help push things in to the juicer as well. Next, what I want to do is we're going to go ahead and put the rest of that kale in there. Drop it right in. Gets sucked right in there, and then we're going to go ahead and put all the celery. We're going to go ahead and follow that with the last apple right here. Push that right in, and let that get sucked in while we're getting the last bits of celery and kale off the cutting board. Alright, looks like it's working really fabulous. Last thing we're left with is 2 carrots. Let's see, dump in the rest of that apple. It's kind of getting stuck up in there on the feed chute. Once again, you don't want to push things in super quickly into the machine. You want to let the machine work at its own pace. By all means, if something's getting stuck in the feed chute, use that pusher to push it in, but otherwise I do not encourage you guys to use a pusher on any slow juicer. You may be overfeeding. Looks like we're getting quite a good yield, and the Kuvings has actually sucked most things in. Always in the Kuvings whole slow juicer, one of the cons of the wide feed chute is that sometimes at the top of the feed chute there'll always be some leftover produce. This can be minimized by juicing something like carrots or a whole pile of chopped up celery last. Looks like most of the stuff is actually gone in. Maybe there's a little bit more sitting, but that's just the scheme of it. Now after you put the last bit of produce in, you want to let the machine run just a little bit longer before turning it off to ensure that you're getting all the yield out. The way to know is if the pulp stops flowing out of the pulp side, then it's probably done juicing. As well as, you know, right now we're just basically dripping little bits of juice out. So I think we're good. We're going to go ahead and turn that off, hit the stop button, and as you guys can see in the Kuvings wholesale juicer, it took me 3.5 minutes approximately to juice that volume of juice. Next, we're going to go ahead and juice in the Kitchenaid side. This is going to be very interesting because, you know, instead of using the cutting board on these things, this has the built-in cutter. So I'm not going to cut anything unless it will not actually fit physically in the feed chute. So anyways, let's go ahead and move this guy for you. Make sure we get a time on this guy. And we're going to go ahead and hit the start button. And we're going to get juicing. Alright, turn this baby on. And we'll start off with an apple. Alright, grab an apple here. So I can't put the apple down the feed chute. Will not fit. So we're going to try to cut the apple in half. Let's see if that fits. Nope, doesn't fit. So we have to cut it in quarters. Put that in there. Now we're going to see if this auto feeds, so the machine's like sucking it around and it's kind of auto feeding, so we're just going to go ahead and let it do that. It basically is cutting it up as the machine spins around. So, you know, instead of putting in the whole one apple in the Kuvings, now we got to put 4 little pieces in here, and if we wanted to, we could probably, you know, use the pusher to cut it up or to push it in to make it go faster, but then we may be overloading the juicer, which may mean you may get less yield. So this means it's just going to take us a little bit longer because every time this machine goes around, it chunks off a piece, and then it has to come around again to chunk off more pieces. Maybe I'll minimally try to use a little bit of force to push that apple in there, otherwise I might be here all day. Alright, if we just leave that carrot in there, I mean, this is a very long way to actually juice, because it's actually just taking off little slices of carrots each and every time, so it's like juicing really slowly. Oh, and we're not getting all the pulp come out properly. Yeah, the other thing is that this the spout doesn't fit totally close to the container there, so we're gonna get some spillage. Alright, I'm gonna keep juicing here. Wow, this is gonna take definitely some time. I mean, even if I pushed in, the machine can't go any faster than it's already going, because every revolution, it takes off a little chunk. Let's see, can we fit the whole beet in there? Yes, the whole beet can fit in there. And let's see if the beet auto feeds. Alright, the beet might need some help. It's kind of getting stuck up in the chute, so we're just going to go ahead and use the pusher to help push it through. Definitely a slow process. Alright, how about the celery? This should work pretty well. Alright, we're just going to put a little force on it on the top, just to keep chunking it off. I mean, I do like how it's juicing the celery. It's just chopping off pieces and juicing it on up. Although it's still left some pieces at the top here. I think I would much rather pre-cut the produce before I put it in, because man, this just seems like a pain in the arse. Alright, let's go ahead and try for that cucumber. Alright, cucumber, oh wow man, impressive. This barely fits in the feed chute without cutting. But once again, it's actually pretty tight in the feed chute, so once again we're going to go ahead and have to use a little bit of force to push this in, because I think if I just like left it in there, it would get stuck. Alright, wow, man, it's a big workout juicing in the Kitchenaid slow juicer. Now, if you guys are using a stand mixer attachment, for, you know, which are the same machine, same top half, with your Kitchenaid base unit as the motor, your yield may be similar. I believe it may actually run a little bit faster or slower. I'm not actually sure how that works. But in general, I definitely would recommend a dedicated juicer for you instead of attachment, because, you know, when you have to use an attachment, then there's things that you cannot account for, like, you know, in my opinion, the RPMs on a slow juicer should probably be a little bit slower than this. This is moving a little bit fast, which may run the produce out quickly, which means you may not get as high of a yield. Let's go ahead and put this carrot in there. And I guess we'll go ahead and chop that apple up while that carrot's getting sucked in. Alright, looks like we got an apple jam. We got to use the pusher to help get that stuff pushed in a little bit. Alright, let's see if we don't have to cut the kale or just put the kale in there. I mean, this is chunking off a little bit of kale at a time. I think personally I'd rather cut my kale up on the cutting board. I'm much more efficient as a cutter than this Kitchenaid juicer. Alright, so a lot of the kale's kind of stuck up at the top. It's not actually getting past that cutting blade. It's kind of just clogging up. Let's go ahead and put that lemon in there, see how that works. It's just basically spinning that lemon. Let's go ahead and use a pusher. Alright, good thing is the lemon helped kind of get that kale in the machine. Let's see, we got a couple more apples here. Apple stuck up in the feed chute. And finally we got one carrot. We're going to go ahead and put it in. And we're going to go ahead and let it suck that carrot in. As you guys can see, we're out of produce. But the machine's still working. Still chopping. Alright, I think we got all the bits of carrot in. Once again, once we're done juicing, you want to let the juicer run just a little bit longer to ensure all the juice is coming out. Let's see, it looks like it's still dripping there. And how does the pulp look? Looks like pretty much the pulp has stopped flowing out. So I think we're probably good. I mean, it still is dripping, but we're going to go ahead and turn it off because I could probably sit here for all day and get a few more drips, but I don't think that's going to make a big difference in yield. Turn it off. Going to go ahead and hit the stop. Alright, so 6 minutes and 43 seconds. That took 3 minutes and 15 seconds more. So it almost took double the time to juice in the Kitchenaid than it did with the Kuvings Whole Slow Juicer Elite. So yeah, that's why my pick for the fastest juicer that's going to save you the most time is the Kuvings Whole Slow Juicer Elite, because it has that wide feed chute. Anyways, I guess the next thing we want to do is we want to check the yields. So let's see if we can compare these guys. Now the Kitchenaid cup is a lot smaller than the Kuvings container. And the other thing is, we're using their containers here. The other thing is, one juicer may put more or less pulp in than the other juicer. So what we're going to do, instead of using their substandard containers that may have the markings off, we're going to go ahead and use standard Pyrex measuring cups, which is what I like to use to measure the yields. Alright, so we got 2 Pyrex measuring cups along with a sieve, same exact ones, so we could actually see which juicer will yield more juice. Let's first go ahead and strain the Kuvings juice out. It has a nice little pour spout here. Pour that through. Fairly nice consistency here. I'm going to have to go ahead and shake this sieve down. Alright, we pretty much got all that sieved out. Let's see if I sit that on there. Might reabsorb some. So we're just going to go ahead and shake that out. We're going to go ahead and set that aside. Next, on the Kitchenaid, it has a much shorter cup. You know, I do encourage you guys, I like to drink on average like 32 to 64 ounces of juice a day. This cup size is too small for me. Hopefully it pours alright even though it's kind of full. Nope, doesn't pour too well. And strain that out. I wonder if I'd be better pouring off the side instead of the little spout they give you. Absolutely. I wonder if their designers really use the machines besides just designing it. Alright, so the thing I'm instantly noticing is that this machine is making significantly more pulp in the juice. Wow. Like a lot more pulp in the juice. Alright, let's go ahead and shake this baby down. Alright, so after straining, definitely telling here. Looks like we've got fairly even amounts of pulp in the juice actually. Maybe the Kuvings actually even put a little bit more. So that's interesting. But next, let's go ahead and take a look at how much each of these juicers yielded. So we're going to go ahead and give you guys a close-up on that. Let's go ahead and give you guys a close-up on the yields there. So over on the side of the Kitchenaid, looks like we got right about 800 milliliters of juice, maybe a little bit more. But I want to show you guys, like, I don't know if you guys could see the texture of the juice there. Maybe we'll move it to the side here so you guys can see it better. But, like, to me, this kind of looks like there's a lot of separation. Kind of like if you used a high-speed machine, it'd be way worse. But there's a lot more separation. And this juice was actually made last. So it's just made, and I believe this is due to the cutting and high-speed action of the auger. In the Kitchenaid. Then over on the Kuvings, take a look at that juice, right? I mean, it's like nice and formed. You know, there's not a lot of like I don't know, aeration. It looks like a nicer juice to drink, right? Like more nutrition. Anyways, on this machine, looks like we got about 850 milliliters of juice. So actually, the Kuvings made more juice, and actually, in my opinion, just from looking at it, the quality is probably a bit more due to the lower oxidative damage from the machine running slower. Alright, so you guys saw that the Kuvings whole slow juicer actually made more juice, so that's quite impressive. Both made a similar amount of pulp, so I'm actually quite impressed that the Kitchenaid actually did so well to actually almost keep up with the Kuvings. And the next thing I want to do for you guys is actually maybe move over, and I want to take a look at the pulp here. That was made with both machines, so this is the pulp made with the Kuvings. Let's go ahead and take and squeeze it out for you. I could squeeze a couple of drips between my hands. You know, there's a few drips coming out. Let's go ahead and take a look at the Kitchenaid. Grab some of that pulp here. Squeeze this out. As you guys can see, it's a bit wetter. You know, I mean, it's fairly dry, but it's definitely wetter than the Kuvings pulp, so this just tells me it's just not quite as efficient. Maybe this is because it's running at a faster speed, so it's ejecting the pulp out faster. In addition, you know, this collection bowl that they give you for the pulp doesn't exactly fit perfectly underneath there, and you know, so you might get some waste off to the side, like I got here. In addition, unlike the Kuvings, that has this nice spout cap, so you can prevent drips on the countertop, which means one less thing to clean. The Kitchenaid actually has this nice little drip tray, which actually has been quite functional, because if we take a look at the drip tray, there's been a lot of drips out of that Kitchenaid, which means you're going to have to clean up this drip tray each and every time you're juicing. Like for me, I want to minimize the parts that I need to clean when juicing, because juicing can be, you know, already tough to clean in some people's opinions. You know, I like to clean juicers that take less than 5 minutes, like the Kuvings takes me less than 5 minutes to clean. But yeah, I guess the last thing I want to do is actually want to go ahead and try that juice. I doubt that I'd be able to really discern any taste difference between these machines on the juice, because I mean, I use the exact same ingredients, and this is not like high speed versus low speed. I mean, once again, I strained it also. We have a really nice consistency. This is actually a really good recipe you guys should try, actually. Definitely good. I always encourage you guys, when drinking your juice, And I know some of you guys that don't like your vegetables, don't just plug your nose, I'm going to drink this down because John said it's really good for you, right? It's a bad idea. What you should do is like savor your juice like my dad used to savor his brandy when I was a child, right? You're going to take it, you're going to sift it around a little bit, maybe not sift it around a little bit, and then you're going to smell it. Smells pretty good. And then you're going to taste it. And chew it in your mouth. You know, don't just take it and swallow. I gotta get this stuff in, man. Swish it around in your mouth. Mix it with your salivary amylase, your saliva. It'll help get the digestion process. Also, you know, slow down when drinking it. You know, don't just sit there. I gotta guzzle this stuff down because I gotta go to work, right? If you're gonna guzzle this stuff down before you gotta go to work, right? Take it in a little thermos or something. Take it to work and just sip it. You know, sip it throughout the day. You know, that way it's gonna do more benefits for you, in my opinion. I mean, upon tasting these two, I mean, the only discernible major difference I could tell is that even after straining, I still taste a little bit of grit, like not a whole lot, but just a little bit more in the Kitchenaid than in the Kuvings. That's a really good juice recipe. So you guys gotta try that recipe if you've never tried it before. I love all these different juice offs, right? I just kind of juice the produce that I got and what I got to juice, and this seemed like a good recipe and came out really well. So anyways, with that, I always got at the end of my juice off videos have to declare a winner of the juice off, and in this juice off comparison, I'm going to go ahead and have to give that to the Kuvings Whole Slow Juicer. Not only did it make 50 milliliters of juice more, which is actually not a whole lot, but the other main thing is it took nearly half the time to juice than the Kitchenaid. Plus, also it has a 10-year warranty instead of a 1-year warranty. Plus, there's just going to be a few less parts, and it's going to be a little bit easier to clean than the drip tray and all the different things that was splattering. Plus, I think the quality and overall construction is just a little bit better. So, yeah, that's pretty much for this juice off. If you guys are considering Kitchenaid attachment for your stand mixer or just the dedicated juicer, I would encourage you guys to maybe investigate other juicers that are available on the market that are going to probably produce a higher quality, you know, and save you guys a lot of time. Now, if you got one of these for Craigslist on 50 bucks, yeah, take it. If that's all you could get for 50 bucks, man, that's a great juicer for 50 bucks, but at the full retail price, I would not recommend it because it's a disposable juicer in my opinion, despite, you know, the nice build quality with the metal and all that stuff, because it only has that 1-year warranty. So anyways, if you guys enjoyed this episode, please be sure to support me in my work by making your purchase at discountjuicers.com. That allows me to continue to make these educational videos on YouTube for you guys. And I thank you guys for those of you guys that have supported me in the past, and thank you guys in advance for those of you guys that will support me in the future. Also be sure to click that like button, you know, click that little thumbs up below the video. That'll encourage me to do more juice off comparison videos, comparing the different juicers, so you guys can learn what is truly the best juicer for you. Also be sure to click that subscribe button right down below so you don't miss out on any of my new and upcoming episodes that are coming out about every 5 to 7 days. You never know what new juicers, what new blender technology, or what new dehydrator technology, or what I'll be showing you guys on new ways you could get more fresh fruits and fresh vegetables in your diet easily and helpfully. And finally, be sure to check my past episodes. My past episodes are a wealth of knowledge that have over 450 videos comparing all the different juicers on the market at this time, so you guys can pick the right juicer for you. So with that, my name is John Kohler with DiscountJuicers.com. We'll see you next time, and be sure to visit DiscountJuicers.com/YouTube for special promotional offers for YouTube visitors.